Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. So I have so much I want to share with you. I don't know where to start, okay? But what I'm going to talk about today, or the first thing I want to talk about, it's how to help recalibrate and balance your core. Oh, by the way, I had sent to everyone via email an attachment, and I'm going to share first this. I'm going to share my screen with you. I sent to you all this attachment through your email. It is the divine name that will connect you with the power of prosperity and abundance. And you would have to scan it like in the absolute certainty, three Hebrew letters for the divine name of certainty. You would have to scan it going from right to left. The first Hebrew letter is Samech, Aleph, and Lemd. And when you scan the letters as you stare it back and forth from right to left, what's going to happen after a while, very similar to the other true Hebrew symbol, you will gonna go into a trance. You're gonna feel that your perception is altered. You're gonna feel inside of you that your cellular structure is beginning to change. I would stare and scan it for 15 minutes minimum on a daily basis, and you will watch as your connection to flow, to prosperity will change. If you were in lack consciousness, that will disappear. If you were opportunities that are connected that were lacking in your life or that seem non-existent will come. And you will begin to have a kind of confidence and knowing, almost like a Midas touch, that will allow prosperity to be magnetized to you. You can only keep what you're willing to give away. As I begun to, I was guided to do this. I'm guiding you into now just the scan. We can do more things with it later on, but for now, just the scanning until you have completely incorporated this in your psyche and in your memory, and you can remember the entire sequence and the shape and everything else. Just scan it on a daily basis for about 15 minutes per day. Any questions, any comments? It's extremely important because everyone I know, to a degree or another, or dealing with lack. As it stands now, because of inflation, every time you go to the store, it's very scary. $1, $2, $3 is being added to everything. And as the prices are increasing, it's making you nervous because resources may not be increasing at the same level. It's creating a background fear. And this will banish all of it. I don't know anyone that's not experiencing this. So I'm asking you to scan this as a way to connect you exactly to the correction or repair of this fear. Any questions, any comments?
Yeah, if one is scanning these letters, is it important to follow the pathway of their creation? For instance, the middle Aleph symbol, would it be to create, for instance, to trace, so to speak, the whatever the from the upper right across and down, and then do the slash across? Or is it not important just to
Just scan it. Don't make it complicated. Just look at
scan it, meaning not follow or trace the pathway of the.
No, what happened to me is that when I scan it, I begin to think about all kinds of things. For example, Aleph for me, as I scanned it initially, I didn't have a connection. After a few days, I begin to realize that Aleph looks to me as you know, in cellular reproduction, the DNA, the chromosome, unzip. This looks like to me as a chromosome in a diagonal level, and one level is zipping one way, the other one is unzipping the other way. That's what it looks like to me.
Mhm.
Do you understand? So I begin to make association. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just staring. All of a sudden, it just pops.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not thinking about my eyes tracing everything. I'm just thinking about whatever comes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. All right. Let's stop sharing this for a moment. So what I want to talk to you about today, before we go back into the torsion field, the way we started doing it last week with the absolute certainty of God, I want to, for a moment, discuss with you how right now the world is a very scary place, and there are all kinds of things, and we may not be conscious that they are coming in. I was sharing with the group and the class that right now I have right before an hour before class, 2 hours before class, somebody called in the emergency room and needing prayers and all that, and there's a lot of that going on, and over time these things accumulate and they begin to create a sense of crisis, because it's not what I experienced, let's say, a year ago. And so in my core, I begin to notice discomfort and tightness. And you have to listen to your body. I told you before that my superpower is listening, and I'm trying to guide you into the and Kuan Yin. This is the way Kuan Yin became the Bodhisattva of for for mercy and compassion. She listened to herself. And if you listen to yourself, and as I have been listening to myself, what I begin to notice is that, like, I went for my walk with my friends on the waterfront today, and as I was walking, I began to notice that in my core, there was tightness. There was like I was having difficulty breathing. My normal deep pranayama inhalation and exhalation. That there was a tightness, a shortness in my ability to my lung to expand fully and surrender. Because every time I expand, I release and I exhale, I let go of everything. So I was clenching onto something. There was something that was disturbing my consciousness that I was clenching onto. So as I went to the waterfront and began to do my breath control, I began to ask myself, I start with the breath first. As I do the breath, I begin to focus on my core. And literally, it's almost like the way, what I mean by my core, it's almost like you remember when we were doing the torsion field and there is the center of the donut? I imagine almost like the center of the donut goes from the core of the earth and moves through me like an open pipe, running through me, but energetically, right? And goes all the way out. So in my own physical body, what does that core feels like? What exists in it? What kind of sensations, perceptions, knowing, insight, discomfort, tightness, pressure, heat, coolness may exist in it. And without judging, just simply doing deep breath, I let my consciousness go into these various in that part of my body and begin to sense what may exist. And as I do this, I begin to have insight. I begin to see things. I begin to feel things. I begin to feel some kind of tightness, and then I begin to think, for example, this morning, all of a sudden, what kind of dreams did I have last night? Is it connected to the dreams that I had? What part of my dreaming did I remember, and what insight or unresolved things happen in my dream that may cause me to have some sort of rigidity, and I'm not in a state of, causing me not to be in a state of surrender. And these things are important because they are very subtle. And this is the key, is that when we're beginning to evolve, as we work so hard on, all of us have worked so hard on emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and the spiritual intelligence, the test and the resistance now becomes extremely subtle. And we have to pay deeper and more profound attention to what we consume, what we watch, what we see, what we hear, what we allow to touch our consciousness, because these things have cumulative effect. You may think that watching a program about what's happening with the war in the Middle East, or the war in Ukraine, may not have an effect on you, but cumulatively over time, they will cause, because we're all interconnected. No one is separated, no one is alone. It's going to cause some sort of effect, or in this instance, it's going to affect you in an important way. And whatever that is, if you have friends and families that are ill, if you have clients that are ill, it's gonna create something inside of you. And it's to keep breathing and inhaling and exhaling deeply to try to figure out where is that, what is it that you're holding. First, it's gonna feel like a discomfort, like in my instance, I'm not breathing correctly. And that's the first thing I noticed. And as I begin to focus deeper, I begin to realize I'm holding something, and I couldn't figure out what that something is. And sometimes it may take days, if not weeks, and sometimes months, to unpack exactly what it is, because we've buried some of these things so deep that it's not initially, it's the wall of Jericho. You have to circle the city of Jericho multiple times. And in this instance, literally, it's the core is almost like a center of the dome. It's a pipe. You have to circle it quite a bit to finally let the wall collapse, because direct assault will not work. And you have to constantly query, there's something there, I don't know what it is. What is it am I not seeing? What am I not perceiving? What sensation am I hiding in there? What knowing, and as you do this, eventually it opens up, it unpacks, and it begins to reveal maybe one thing connected to it. Sometimes it's a whole network of false belief that you're holding. Maybe it's a network of responsibility. In my instance, I have this thing about giving and trying to fix and repair everything. It's a role I play most of my life. I've repaired, I've fixed, I'm the fixer for everybody. And as I do this, I tend to hold inside of me other people's problem, the world's problem. And I'm trying to, in my consciousness, trying to figure out a way, almost like a Rubik's Cube, trying to figure out a way to solve it. When in fact, I don't have, Pierre, my ego does not have the power to solve something that big. And what I actually need to do is that I need to take that entire set of Rubik cubes, that entire puzzle, and give it to source. Through the breath, I need to release it. But here's the key. When you don't know exactly what the problem is, it's very hard to know how to let it go. So thus, the conversation and the listening to self, trying to find the brokenness, trying to find the back door, trying to find the peace. And it's extremely subtle because it doesn't yield immediate result. The result we had in the early days of doing the queries, they're not going to come as quickly. And you need to keep sitting with it and know that something is there, but it may not be visible today, but it will eventually show up. And as you do this, it eventually unpack, and I can share with you some of the stuff I'm beginning to unpack. I have shared it with you before, but I'm going deeper and deeper into this. And I'm noticing, and this is why the symbol I just gave you to before about the proper connection to prosperity with the divine name for the power of prosperity and abundance. Because what is, for me, my greatest challenge in this lifetime, having grown Christian, is the false belief of sacrifice. That just like Christ, as I was domesticated by my, in catechism school, in a Catholic school, that you have to sacrifice because resources, and that this idea of sacrifice comes from a place that resources are scarce. For you to give to someone else, you have to lose something. That's what the sacrifice means. You have to lose something. So I heard this in my entire life. My mother sacrificed herself for her 4 kids. I heard the sacrifice over at church over and over again. Christ made, sacrificed itself for him. He was a martyr. He did all this for us. And if we're emulating Christ, we have to sacrifice. I can tell you this is bull doo-doo. It's not true. It's a lie. It's the biggest lie ever perpetuated on humanity. It's a lie. The universe, the entire universe, is about infinity times infinity. It's perpetual renewal. It's endless. There is no lack anywhere in the universe. And the idea of lack is a lie. What we are is the lens. If you're giving from the right place and creating the right connection, all we all are lenses that are allowing us to focus infinity through us and let it pass through us and exit out. Now, when I do energetic healing, my body knows this. Because I'm in neutrality, my body knows this. I do this effortlessly. It's like my eyelid closed. But when I'm thinking about people that I care for deeply that are in crisis, like my friends who are in ER right now, or people like, there's a tendency in me to try to solve the problem. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to repair it. So when we pray for people, when we try to do prayers of intercession, where that intercession comes from and how it comes from, that becomes key. Where is your consciousness in doing that intercession? Is it coming by connecting to the power of prosperity where the flow? Because prosperity and abundance is not just about money. Money is a part of it, but it's about connecting to endlessness, to flow in everything, flow in healing, flow in money for sure, flow in happiness, flow in joy, flow in fulfillment. So it's a connection to all of that. And when I allow my consciousness to continue to replay, because that sacrifice thing, as I wasn't deeply involved in the church when I was a kid, that sacrifice thing has become a splinter psyche. Okay? And I have to do a lot of work to begin to notice it. And there are times right now, since I'm becoming very aware of this, when I'm beginning to give to somebody or I'm trying to intercede for someone, and I can feel a clench in that call, and I know, okay, I'm giving from the wrong place. Before I act on whatever gesture I was going to do, how I was going to give to somebody, or energetically or physically, I need to reframe my consciousness and tap into the power of prosperity and give from God, and not give from myself, from my ego, for that false belief that I have to suffer in order for me to give to someone else. It's extremely subtle. but it's key to connecting to true abundance. We are going to be facing some lean years, particularly 2025. It's coming. It's coming. Financially, things are going to be restructured. All kinds of chaos is going to happen. We have to be prepared. Through that connection, none of us will suffer. So, but the practice has to start now. Any questions, any comments? The point is that we have a tendency as human beings to try to control everything. Now, I've said this before, ascendance and enlightenment is it's the thin line that exists between surrendering and doing. There's a thin line that exists between the two. You have to know when you have to act, and when you're acting as a lens that's inspired by spirit to focus things into this world. Otherwise, you let go and surrender of everything. When a holy person or an ascended master comes in and does a healing for you, they're not doing it from their ego. They allow that flow of abundance where immortality and perpetual renewal exists. That's the symbol that I gave you. They allow it to move through them, and they let it pass through us. And that subtle position is a retraining that I'm doing with my consciousness on a daily basis. I try to spend some time, 15 minutes, to kind of like, where is my core? What am I feeling? There are days I wake up, I have to tell you, where my core is perfectly, it's everything, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Okay? I don't need to do too much. It's just there. But there are other days, like as of late, where it's not completely there. I need to pay more attention. I need to focus more, and I need to unpack deeper things that are in there. And then I have to tell you, when this happened, all kinds of other memories comes in. When I focus on my core like this, there are things that happened to me in my childhood. There are things that happened to me when I was in graduate school that relates to this, to these topics, that are memories that are flashing in. And I'm beginning to realize that, wait a minute. Like last night, I had a dream of my ancestors. Like I'm looking to a box that are a black and white photograph, like an album of my ancestors. And I see a whole bunch of people that I don't know there, and they seem to be family members. Can I have this picture? Can I? And I'm sharing them with them. And so I'm telling you, this is that it brings back certain. So the sacrifice thing is through my ancestral lineage. That false belief have been passed down from generation to generation. That sacrifice have been passed down for place to place, for person to person, for generation to generation. And I'm looking at it, and I'm very clearly it was that dream I had at 5 o'clock this morning. After I went to the bathroom, came back to bed, and that's a dream that woke me up this morning. And these subtle things begin to shift gradually your awareness to realize that, because you're not going to say, I command you and then be gone. That's not the way, particularly when something has become a complex in your psyche. You can reprogram, let's say someone said something negative to you, you can reprogram that kind of conversation within 21 days. If someone had told you, shut up for a long time, and you can, but something that old, particularly it's ancestral. It's coming back from generation to generation. I saw two generation. Well, let me see, 1, 2, 3 generation in my dream last night. If it's coming from that kind of, so it's gonna take a while for it has a greater grip on your consciousness. It occupies a bigger piece of real estate in your consciousness. And through the symbol of the that we just discussed, what's going to happen is that it's going to connect you to the feeling that you get when you properly connect. I'm going to share the symbol once more. It's going to connect you to the proper feeling that you get when you actually connect to the true the power of true prosperity, where there is no loss, there is no lack anywhere. No loss, no lack. It doesn't exist. It's an illusion. The illusion of separation that we have in this realm in 3D is that's exactly what it is. It's an illusion. It doesn't exist. Nothing created, nothing destroyed in the universe. This is the law. Nothing created, nothing destroyed. Everything is being recycled and refunneled into something else. So when you're staring at this over the trends that you're getting, you're connecting. This is what it feels like, at least for me, at the initial, because I'm still at the initial stages of connecting to these 3 Hebrew letters. It's connecting me now to what connecting to the true power of prosperity, where there is no lack. This is what the frequency feels like. This is what the frequency feels like. Any questions, any comments? So as you're moving through this, maybe your issue is not sacrifice. Maybe your issue is something else. For me, that's the issue as a giver. Maybe you're a receiver. And if you're receiving, what are you receiving? By the way, the sacrifice also, the giving also affects the way I receive. Because if it's all about lack and not having enough, I don't want to burden people into having to lose to give to me. Therefore, I'm going to have difficulty receiving. So it's affecting both ends. It's corrupting both ends. Again, going back to the concept of the desire to give and the desire to receive. Now, that symbol I just showed you will help balance this. And again, it's not limited to greenback and dollar and coins and all kinds of things that are happening that related to money or being rich and being opulent. It's also connected to opulence in healing, in joy, in exuberance, in vitality, and in love. Any questions, any comments? I know you have questions, you're just afraid to ask them. Any question, any comments? One of the things that as you connect to all of these, so as I unpack my core and I realize it's maybe that the sacrifice is there, the sacrifice is false, and I'm having a different conversation with myself, particularly using the symbol. as a way to help me overcome, because, you know, in order for me, it's like putting an address in a GPS machine device. Like if I'm going to an address, I'm gonna go driving direction to, and I would put the address. So now that I know the address, this is what I'm looking for, the power of prosperity. I'm looking for this address. Now I know what that frequency over time, over a couple of weeks or a month, I will know what that frequency feels like. And that's the address. And I'm gonna ask the universe to drive me to it so that I can connect to it. So that whatever else existed, the neighborhood I was in where there was lack, I'm gonna leave it behind. And I'm gonna drive to a new neighborhood, right? So as I'm doing this, what's gonna happen, and even today, but going to happen as well, as I'm walking around with my friends, the energy after my friends around, it shifted. And then when it shifted, suddenly I became aware of other things because now I was connecting to a place of rest, a place of me not trying to do, repair, or fix anything. A place in my core. And I have to tell you that even disease that you may have, let's say your problem is that you're trying to lose weight, or you have, I don't know, colitis, hemorrhoids, pain in your joints, whatever it is, high blood pressure. As you're doing all of this and you're checking yourself, your core, there will be a connection in your core to all of these diseases, because every disease comes from an emotional point in your energetic body. And in your core, you're holding something. There is an imbalance, and that imbalance is connected to a false belief, a lack of some kind. And if you can find what that is, and again, piece by piece, they will begin to pop. They will begin to pop. That's what I'm holding. And again, initially when I went in that core, I didn't know, I was not, it was just a feeling of tightness. Like it was too tight, it wasn't open. And I'm like, something is in there, I'm gonna listen to it. I didn't go in knowing sacrifice was in that. Sacrifice showed up for me 2.5 months later. Every day I went in and I'm like, I breathed through it and I'm trying to open it up. I'm trying to open it up. And then memories are beginning to flash in my head of what my mother said when I was 4 years old, 5 years old, or around the beginning of class or school year when my mother has to buy new shoes, and because we were growing up, and new uniforms and all of that. Where I'm going to get the money, blah, blah, blah. I have to sacrifice something. That's the conversation I heard in my household. And these things begin to show up. And I begin to realize, wait a minute, I've heard this my entire life.
Pierre,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Can I recap on something that you just said a while ago about the abundance as you're talking, and the symbol of prosperity that you just sent us? And as you're talking, I mean, it's going into my head like the way we should see prosperity. It shouldn't be prosperity in the type of money or material. Okay, prosperity is also the fact that we are getting trying to find the word. I'm sorry. We are getting, like, let's say, the virtues of God, and we didn't understand it properly or something. And then all of a sudden we're doing this, and then a better understanding is imprinted into our heart. Prosperity, the abundance, is also the fact that we go to the supermarket, we wanted an item, and when we get there, the item is on sale
Mhm.
and we save 30 cents, 50 cents. That is abundance and prosperity.
Mhm.
It's the fact also, whereas the understanding that you were just talking about sacrifice, about everything else. And then we get to the point where you understand it better and you leaving that package behind. This is abundance and prosperity because you're growing.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's so much
Mhm.
I think that symbol can bring into our lives.
Mhm.
It's that it's really I'm just saying. I mean, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying and where I'm coming from about that, because it is so important. That symbol, I cannot emphasize it enough. It's that symbol in a way. It's also liberation,
Mhm.
liberation for our mental, the conditionment and the mental things, and the way that we were raised, and the way that the world put the conditionment in us,
Mhm.
telling us that the prosperity we like. I don't know. I hope you guys understand because it's so much and I cannot verbally, really explain it. Okay. Thank you for listening, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marjorie. You're right. You're right about what you're saying, because you could be very wealthy and not be prosperous. Because if you're sick and you're unhappy and you're miserable, you're not prosperous. What you just said, Marjorie, I just discovered a store by me, regular supermarket is selling you at a certain price. I went to that store the other day, and I had gone in there before, but all the items that I buy the most often at that store or the supermarket, in that store, they're all at half price. That discovery is connecting me to my prosperity. So you're totally right. And you have to be able to acknowledge it, that as you're walking through it, the universe is connecting me to instances where prosperity is joining me. Because
Even you're right. Go
yeah,
ahead. I'm sorry. You're
I'm
right. Even the person that come into your life, and it's like you were looking for something for years. You wanted something to be done, and that person come and just handed it out to you.
yeah,
It just handed it out to you, and you're like, wow.
yeah,
I've been searching for this for a long time. And here it is, it just happened. And there's another thing also with God and all these things, when they happen, it's because that you're at the point where you're ready to receive that.
mhm,
You're ready. It's timing, because you have to receive the gift in a timing manner, whereas you get the gift and the gratitude come
mhm,
with it. So if you're not aware of what you are getting for the even healing, it is prosperity.
yeah,
You understand? It's so much
yeah.
that we cannot, you know. Anyway, all right.
You,
I'm gonna shut up. I'm sorry.
in the Indian mythology, the goddess of abundance is Lakshmi. Lakshmi gives not only abundance and prosperity of money and coins, but of knowledge, of understanding, of love, of everything that we can think of. Similarly, in the Hebrew stuff, that divine name connects you to the same energy. So when you're connecting to it, you're gonna notice in your life a different connection to external things where what was a lack before is turning into a flow. Whether it is because you found a store where everything is half price, or somebody is offering you similar services, or is offering you to give something instead of charging you for money, is giving it for you for free, or as an exchange, or whatever way is possible. All of a sudden, you will have instances where flow will move toward you. And there was that saying, it's the ultimate saying in flow and in trust: jump and the net will appear. So you're gonna trust so much on that it will, in all aspects of your life, it will follow you. I've met people that were like this, and they were financially very well, extremely well, and I never understood it. I met a couple of people that were like this. They had what almost like a magic touch, a Midas touch. Everything they touched turned into like this endless flow of miraculous things that happen around them. They could manifest things instantaneously. Now, your karma, and the karma is again connected to your lineage, your ancestral history, and what kind of conversation that happened in that family, in that lineage, over 3, 4, 5 generations past, right? All of that is connected. And because of that karma, you're gonna have, and as we're talking about this, and I'm giving you all the tool to turn it around, you're making the tikkun and the correction to change the karma. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's an encapsulation of everything I've been trying to teach you for the past 2 years. This is where the rubber meets the road. Yes, there was the karma, there was the conversation, there's you trying to control and fix everything and whatever. And then all of a sudden, that whole thing changes because now you have the tools, and the tool is now pointing you in a different direction. You're putting a different GPS address. You're trying to get to a different destination. And inch by inch, piece by piece, in other words, the GPS said turn around. In 800 feet, turn left on whatever avenue. And then you now are navigating yourself toward that flow.
Yeah,
Yes.
I had a thought, if I may.
Yes.
The principle that you speak of near instantaneous manifestation to you're connected to this divine name of prosperity, it doesn't allow, or it seems to me, it doesn't account for a timing factor. And Marjorie kind of referred to that. Monty used to say the cymbal in the orchestra is a very noticeable instrument, and if he or she plays her part at the wrong time, it'll destroy the symphony. But if it's played at the right moment, it fits and everything is perfection. If what you want to manifest in your life is manifested at a time that you're not ready for it, or there are conditions around you that aren't receptive to that manifestation, then it's maybe not best for you to have it immediately. And so one shouldn't necessarily feel one isn't connected to this divine name if that doesn't happen.
You know, that's a very interesting point, because in quantum, in fourth dimension, they call this the world line, which is where space and time connects to each other when they intercede at the right time. I use the example of crossing the street. If you cross the street and a couple of seconds later, after you get to the other side of the street, a car come barreling down and pass where you went had just left. If you were slower by a few seconds, the car would have hit you. Okay? So the timing and the spatial coordinate becomes extremely important. And when the two of them meet, they call it the world line in quantum in science. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example. As it so happened, a lot of things that are happening in the world right now, I've been channeling since 2013. Okay? Actually, 2012, it begun. And at the time, and even now, the audience was not ready. I cannot tell you the number of people that were on my list that have unsubscribed to my email because of my message, because they were not ready to hear it. Okay? But I can tell you right now, a lot of people are looking at my stuff in a different light, because the information, and part of it also, I have to tell you, because of at the time, what I was saying was so whacked out that there's a part of me that did not trust the channeling I was receiving. Because there's a part of me that says, Pierre, you're having indigestion, you're making the stuff up. It can't be real. Because it was so far-fetched. Yet here we are. When January 6th happened, I remember when I watched the footage, the videos that were coming from the Capitol, I'm like, my God, I saw this in a channeling. I saw this almost 10 years ago. And how do you, when you're a visionary and you're seeing something and you're trying to warn people, a lot of time people, just like John in the desert, it's the sand that will listen to you. People will walk away because they think that you lost your mind, you're crazy. So you're right, there is a timing, there's a world line that has to cross where the spatial coordinate and the actual event that you're connecting to has to cross each other for people to begin to accept you and realize this person is not crazy. He may have been visionary, he was not crazy.
So part of the challenge is the advanced caution that you've offered, and the response to guard or protect oneself is it's important to have a sense of this linear, what you call war line.
World line, yes.
World line, okay. Monty had the same experience. He would talk about a Pluto effect that people did not see anywhere in their reality, but he knew it was coming. Only it was in advance of the events that would manifest, would show that. So people began to not trust that what he was in what he was saying. But so the challenge then becomes to hear the words, to know the challenges that are coming, but not to necessarily take immediate protective action, but to gain a sense of time. And then again, like the fan that you often speak about, with multiple sort of directions that could unfold on the horizon, just to be cautious and try to stay in alignment, in tune with the developments. I mean, how do you otherwise, I mean, you could store up a warehouse of food that's something that you may need because of the shortage of supply that has been forecast. But that may not happen for a long time, right? So how do you judge? I'm so sorry. Let me get rid of this code.
It's okay, Janice.
How do you? I guess the challenge for both sides, the prophet, so to speak, and the listener, is how to judge that timing to know the proper action to take.
So the prophet who sees the multiple timelines will only bring to you information. The choice at which timeline, which section of the fan you choose will be up to you. Some people will see it right away. Others will think that you lost your mind. And when the event happens, they will be fully engaged in a different path, and some of them will not be able to come back. Right? This is the nature of the way things operate. But what I would say is that everybody has to make up their own mind and select where in the world, where they will intersect the world line. It's an individual choice. Some part of my heart breaks because I remember the wisdom, the council of 12 that I had created years ago. I had over almost like 20 some people. I remember when I did in 2009, I did an ascension wave, and Robert McKissick had asked me to bring people together and ask people to create a path to born opening into the heaven, to do all this stuff. And I had the channeling, I have all of this, and I had on my calls, I had over 30 people that were interested. Everything that they wanted, I'm teaching right now. But at the time, many of them were impatient because it wasn't coming fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They wanted, literally like fairy dust. When in fact, in order for you to advance and to get to the kind of conversation that you and I are having right now, if I had that conversation in 2009, people thought I was crazy. Because you and I can have this conversation because we spent years working on emotional intelligence. We know how to do a query. We know how to go inside to deal with the core. We know all of these other things. So when I'm talking and I'm referring to all of these things, you know what I'm talking about. But to someone who has never done this, this is like a foreign language.
Mm-hmm.
And it will make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you cross the timeline? And again, the impatience of these people, and some of them I'm still in touch with them on social media, and I'm seeing some rather alarming posts coming from them, coming from a place of fear, or a place of not even fear, but a place of attack, of anger, or of discontent, or even dare I say anarchy. And I feel sorry because everything that they wanted, I'm teaching right now. But they are so far down a different path, they cannot come back. And I have to say to you, to emancipate the conversation we're having right now into something else, if the fourth dimension is about perceiving what's happening in the world line as time and space merge together, meaning at the right time, at the right spatial coordinate, I cross something and I can see it from beginning to end, like the tesseract or the torsion field beginning to end. I see it at the beginning and I see it at the end, wrapped up into one. The circumstances where there are multiple possibilities in the future horizon, and certain people go in a different direction, like my friends I was talking about, that are now chosen the path of anarchy. they cannot jump. The 5D is about the splitting or the perception of the multiple horizon, multiple path. And what happened is that if you are neutral enough, your higher self will narrow the path and tell you, choose that one. So the choice, if you listen to yourself very carefully, you're going to be guided into your higher self. Your God will guide you into you will see the multiple choices and you will know that's the path that I need to follow. But to the person who is not listening, who hasn't done the work, again, I know the thing is that the emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and spiritual intelligence is not sexy. Okay? It's not dazzling enough. It doesn't have enough pizzazz. It doesn't have enough jazz hand. It doesn't have enough spiritual power, because it's slow, it's incremental, and it's an deep internal thing. And most people do not want to listen to themselves, because every time they listen to themselves, they're afraid they're walking into an emotional minefield. Yes, there is discomfort in there, but and the emotions that are in there, if you go with the right consciousness, they actually open up into jewel, into secrets, and all the things you want that they wanted, which is the jazz hand and the fairy dust, are gonna show up. But you are first to walk in there, and this is the thing with human consciousness, is that to the crowd and to the I remember the Bible talks about this all the time. When Moses was on the edge of the Red Sea, and when he took out, when he asked Pharaoh to liberate the Israelites that were there were 600,000 Israelites in Egypt. But when he was at the Red Sea, the edge of the Red Sea, he had 3 million people with him. There were other slaves in Egypt. And they went with him because they saw all the miracles, they saw all the jazz hand and all the sparkles, the 10 plagues. And they wanted to follow him just because of this. And in the Bible, you can go back and read it. You will see 2 terms. They will talk about the Israelite, and they will talk about the mixed multitude. The mixed multitude are all these other people who are hoping somehow the miraculous things that they are witnessing will rub on them without them doing the real work, the real internal work. Always, it's about a choice. So when I see these people, and again, having perceived the multiple horizons, the multiple path in the horizon, and I see them now, and here's the thing. When you begin to see the fan, this is what the landscape of 5D looks like. The first perception of the landscape of 5D. Now, if you take, let's say their path A to E that are there. So if you take path B and you move along that path, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, I think I want to explore D. You can always go back to the point of origin and go back and say, okay, now I'm gonna select D. But to someone who doesn't have that kind of flexibility of consciousness, expansion of awareness, they will not be able to realize they're in the wrong path, and they can make a different choice. And to make that choice, you have to go back to the point of origin. That's 5D. 6D, if you're in path B, wherever you are in path B, you can actually jump the timeline and go into path D, where you are, without going back to the point of origin. That's an emancipation into 6D. You're right, timing is everything. And again, it's about the crossing of these 2 lines that connects the past classes and conversation to the topic at hand tonight, which is 4D. You begin to perceive the tesseract. You're seeing things beginning to end, wrapped up into one, alpha and omega. You encapsulate it into one. But when you begin to see in landscape, let's say, for example, you're talking to somebody and they say something, and you see multiple answers showing at the same time, the moment that begins to happen, you're touching 5D. And some of you may have that already, or you will very shortly. Did I answer your question, Janice? I went around. I'm sorry.
We had a nice ride.
But also, Pierre, I wanted to say something about the timing.
Yes.
Um, by doing the exercise, this is my thing because I'm basing on what we did with the certainty
Yeah.
in order to probably know what's going to flow with the abundance and all that. Okay. When we did the certainty, I mean, at least for me, it goes into DNA.
Mhm.
And when we scan it, and as we go along with it, then the gift of faith and certainty start coming into our heart. And we were able to, you know, see things differently and understand things in a different manner. Okay? So I think it will be the same thing. And that's also it's like it's that image of certainty that was putting the timing within us, that timing that we're talking about. And I think that by doing the prosperity and all that, the timeline will flow and we will know when it's happening. You will know when it's happening because what's going to happen is the same thing. It's that DNA, it's going to wake up that muscle, that thing in our DNA system that was dormant, and then bring all these things. And then when things happen, you see, oh my God, that's the timing, that's the flow, that's the harmony. I'm in the right path. I'm in the right, you know, that type of thing. But it's just a question of the scanning and and because it's going to our DNA and we will get it. We will get it. We will know when it's time. We will know when it's you know. I don't know. Am I making sense here? Sorry.
Yes, no, you're making sense. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
What I will add here is that by focusing on these three Hebrew letters for the power of prosperity, what's going to happen is that the world line for prosperity in all parts of your life will come to you. You geographically will cross at the right time. It's basically jump and the net will appear. Does that make any sense, Janice?
It gives me confidence that whenever I choose to jump is the right time.
Yes, because you will know it in your call that it's the right time. This is the moment for you to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so I know there's lots of things in this world that's gonna happen. The end of this year, it's not gonna be cute with the, particularly for the U.S. with this election that's coming in. It's gonna be, well, let's just say, not easy on the streets. You interpret it whichever way you want to interpret it. Go back and read the channeling that I did on the website, on the blog. You will understand what I'm saying. And but and going next year, it's going to be financially related. By the way, financially related as well. Bitcoin is $68,000 per coin at this moment. It's a lot of money. Okay. if you remember, the beginning of last year, it was at 18,000. It's now at 68,000 per coin. Just a side kind of comment that talking about abundance and prosperity. But anyway, so I wanted the point being is that the world line, which is particularly when you're trying to accomplish something, where geographically you're put at the right place at the right time, and suddenly things happen for you. A miraculous encounter happened. You're walking down the street and somebody says, "Hey, excuse me, were you interested?" And the next thing you know, you have a conversation, and it leads into so many people who have become um, uh, not only have had money or fame or opportunities, have said a lot of time it was luck. They just were at the right time at the right place. And again, this is the world line where two things cross each other. We all can move in 3D, which is a three special coordinate: length, width, and height in a volume that exists in our universe. But when the timing is right for an event to come and cross you, that's when miracle happen. And that connection, as it relates specifically to prosperity, it will help the timeline cross, the world line cross you. And it will bring the opportunities to you. Now, the rest will be up to you. You can choose to reject it or accept it. The hope is that as you're doing all of this work on prosperity, on connecting to the power of prosperity, you will jump on it. You will say yes to the opportunity instead of saying no. And this will lead into a whole concept. And again, it's saying yes to one thing, and that one thing alone is the beginning of the domino. The domino falls down and it causes all these other things to happen. Any other questions or comments? Why don't we take a 5-minute break, and then before we do our closing meditation, what I want to do is that I'm going to put the symbol for the power of prosperity up, and I need you to stare at it for about 5 minutes, and then we'll do the closing meditation. 5 minutes for water break first, and then I'll put the symbol up. Okay, 5 minutes. Thank you. All right, I hope you're all back and you can scan from right to left. Samech, Aleph, and Lamed. And Lamed. So for me, the first symbol is like a coiled chromosome. It's unzipping chromosome. And it's the symbol I'm still trying to figure out what it resembles to me. Take a very deep and slow breath. Close your eyes. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And realize that you can perceive 360 degrees. Listen. Listen as if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. And as you keep on breathing deeply and slowly, become aware of your core. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. and listened. Listen to what kinds of information, knowing, insight that this part of your body is trying to share with you. Without edit, simply breathe in deeply and slowly and witness whatever wants to show up for you. What are you feeling? Keep breathing deeply and slowly. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachment, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. What false belief am I holding in this part of my body? what ancestral false belief is disconnecting me to the power of prosperity. As we now begin to put in our guidance system the power of the prosperity of God, take a look at your screen and scan from right to left the Hebrew letters that will connect you and bring your spatial coordinate and the proper timing to align endlessly and perpetually abundance and prosperity to you in all things. Let the opportunities and the timing and spatial alignments to be perfectly conjoined to create and gift you the power of prosperity. Lord, grant us the alignment of bringing us at the right place, at the right time. To allow prosperity to exist in every aspect of your lives. Let a cascade of endless blessings where opportunities align with proper timing to gift us endless prosperity. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Janice. It takes some practice to be able to through the symbol, you'll be able to focus these opportunities to unlock prosperity and the timing of them, and let the world line cross for you. I want to also remind everyone that on Tuesday, March the 12th, I will begin a new class, a new series of 12 weeks class called Service Work for the Liberation of Humanity. It's about the prayer, the meditation, and the energetic collective group work that we need to do in order for us to help humanity through safe passage for what's going on, what's going on now, and what will be going on for the next few years, next 6 years around the planet. I look forward to seeing you there if you can. The information is on the website under upcoming event. I want to thank all of you for listening to me tonight, and if you're listening to us on Patreon, thank you for your support. If you're listening to us on YouTube, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much. Love you all. Good night.
Love you all. Thank you, Pierre. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Love you.
Love you.